There's all sorts of articles out there for questions that CEOs need to be asking their teams regarding cybersecurity. So here's a question. Do we keep a live inventory of assets? At first thought, you might think, what? Inventory assets? Asset management? How is that cybersecurity? Well, it's simple. You can't protect what you don't know. If you don't know the assets you have within your organization, guess what? You can have all the amazing security controls in the world in place, and all the monitoring and all the technical tools and the policies and the whiz bang and everything. And if there is one computer out there that you don't know exists or you forgot about, that's a problem. And so a lot of things, companies are going to these zero trust networks, and they're going to ways of identifying what's allowed on the network and what is not allowed on the network. And that's great if you can afford to put those kind of programs in place. But for the rest of companies, what do? Well, it all starts with knowing what you have. It all starts with knowing what assets have access to the things that matter for your organization. We've worked with companies that have had like proprietary code to protect, and they don't even have VPN in place. They have no idea what assets have access to that. I can tell you it's all over the world. That's the way it works, right? Unfortunately. But that's the mindset, is it starts with your assets. You have to know what's connecting into your network, how you're controlling that, what are those devices across the organization, servers, workstations, appliances, all of it. You've got to know all of the landscape. Now there's discovery tools out there. And so one would say, oh, just buy a discovery tool. Just turn on the discovery tool. Can I tell you, I've worked with several of them. While the concept is good, and while the effort is a good effort worth spending time on, it doesn't take care of everything. It's not 100%. And here's the thing about a breach. They go for the 1%. They go for the 0.001%, right? So you can have a discovery tool, but if you forgot one subnet of your network, or you forgot one location or one aspect, guess what? Those assets are not in there. So if you're hanging your hat on discovery as knowing all of your assets, that's great. Make sure you maintain your network diagrams. Make sure you maintain your IP address ranges and your subnets and how everything fits together, because your discovery tool is only as good as what it can see and what it can find and the devices that it has access to. And so that becomes a whole different effort. So it's a good practice, but it's not one to just turn it on and say, okay, I'm good because discovery's on. It doesn't work that way. You want to make sure you have good practices. You should have IT asset management practices where you're actually onboarding new assets. You go through this process and you add them into the database. It's called the Configuration Management Database, a CMDB, where you're adding in all of your configuration items, assets, for example, and you add it in there because you know you bought it or you know you acquired it. Think about it this way. Think about the end when you're ready to retire an asset. Let's say it's all trusted within your network, right? Because it was your asset. But then you go to retire it and you think it got bought and destroyed, but the truck got hijacked or somebody didn't do their job or whatever. And guess what? That asset is in the world now. You need to know that. You need to understand, in your system of record for your assets, you need to know these are our assets. This is what we bought. This is how we add to the list. This is what we've sent out for destruction or we've sold. This is what we've taken off from the list. And then obviously fit your network and security controls around that so that everything stays secure, and the controls you've worked so hard to put into place to build that security program and to build that protection into your environment, guess what? Now it's doing its job because you have a good handle on your assets and coming and going. If an asset is out for repair, I had this happen a few years ago. Someone asked me, they saved all their passwords on their computer. Guess what? Then they sent their computer out for repair because something went wrong with it. Well, all those passwords were like saved, and they all of a sudden got very like, what am I going to do? And so don't do that, first of all, and give that instruction to your employees. But if an asset goes out for repair, how do you decom it from coming on the network? Who knows, it might get lost sight of, or you send it to a third party, but it still has access. So these are all the processes that you would put around asset management. And this is why the CEO question of, do we keep a live inventory of our assets? That that is why that is such a foundational item to cybersecurity and to the overall program. And most of the frameworks, most of the security frameworks, that will be one of the foundational items is asset inventories, because you cannot protect that which you don't know you have.